Incas. Now the Incas are different from the Aztecs. The Incas were very structured, okay? They had high society. The Aztecs were kind of like, let's rip out hearts and have fun all day. The Incas were a little smarter. So he took them over by killing the head guy. Kill the king, and they'll all follow in line. And that's exactly what happened. He took over the Incas by basically murdering the top guy. Guys, less giggles. And the Incas fell in line, and he ruled them. Now the Spanish were not that friendly. They did stop the, remember as I said with the Aztec, they did stop the heart thing with the ripping out of hearts and all that. But outside of that, they were after gold, and Pizarro wanted gold big time. So we saw all the riches of Lima and all these other Inca cities back then that had all the gold palaces. Sent it back to Spain, makes King of Spain happy, and then he gives them more money, and then he keep going. So that's what happened, the beginning of the Spanish coming into South America. Alrighty, that's on page 103. Alrighty, Lima was one of the richest cities in the world, and because of all the gold, and there's gold all through Lima, all through Peru. There's gold everywhere in South America, especially in the mountains. Alright, let's go to 106. Now, for centuries, the native peoples lived a hard life because they were under the Spanish rule. And that lasted all the way to today, really, but not as bad as it was, say, 50 years ago. So everybody was Catholic, they were Spanish, the Pope in Rome and all that. But the nuns and the priests were getting tired of seeing the oppression of the native peoples by the Spanish. So the nuns started what is called, it's on page 106, they don't get into detail. They started liberation theology. Liberation theology, am I going to, well, it's on film. Liberation theology was where the teachings of the Catholic Church went to more in line with to help the poor as it should have been, and free from the Spanish oppression. This was about 1950s, 60s, 70s liberation theology to help the poor people. And it took root, it did a lot of good, and it was probably squashed later on by the ruling class. There's two types of classes in South America, the rich and everybody else. So that's kind of how we're going today. All right, at number 6, let's look on our book, page 106. Where's my book? Did I give it away?
Yes, you did.
I did? Okay, look on 106. Map of ethnic groups. Can we see that on 106?
There's African, Mestizo, and European and indigenous.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. So just as an aside, Brazil has more Africans in it, left over from when they imported enslaved people from Africa. So after slavery ended, basically African in Brazil is the most numerous population in Brazil. Plus they speak Portuguese. Everybody else speaks Spanish, except for we'll talk about the ones that don't. Okay, so map on 106, look at your ethnic groups, see who's where. All right, and we're going to talk about the geography on page 109. We're going to talk about a little bit about the geography of cocaine. Where does cocaine come from?
Leaves. Coca leaves.
Coca leaves, correct. What country? Yes. All right, what country is the most coca leaves? Colombia, yeah. And then they had drug cartels in Colombia, Medellin cartel. So basically the cartels took over Colombia, and for a while it looked like the gangs were running Colombia in what geographers called a failed state. I'll get to that a little later. Cocaine was so powerful and moving north, and so, but back in 2002 they got it back. I'll talk about that. I'm just moving on page by page. Let's see, page 110 I'm not going to worry about. Page 111, there's a cartogram. Cartogram is a special type of map showing exaggerated features. It's basically it's just a different type of map showing a theme, like a thematic map. And it shows the population of U.S. It shows the population. Let's look at the cartogram. Sierra, where is it? All right, look on page. How many minutes have we got?
We are at 5:27.
Perfect, Austin. Thank you. Look on page 111. And the urban population. See so the cartogram breaks out the urban population. Why is there so many people in the urban population, guys? Why so many people in the cities?
Because there's a
Jobs.
Yeah, jobs, hope. Being a dirt farmer has no attraction when you can go to the city and, I don't know, do something else, maybe make more money. So that's a real problem for South America. Everybody's flooding to the cities, and they're still flooding to the cities. So, all righty. On page 107, I'm not going to worry about geography of cocaine, cartogram. Oh yeah, page 112. Monroe Doctrine. Anybody can tell me what Monroe Doctrine is? Go ahead.
It was, we made a statement that we European to
Keep out.
trying to reconquer any of the colonies.
Right. In other words, everybody stay out but us. So in other words, we had Monroe Doctrine, yet we interfered big time in South America. CIA overthrew governments. We went in and deposed bad guys and put even worse guys in power in South America because they would support us and fight against the communists. So we weren't very clean-handed in South America. Now what has happened is China has picked up where we left off. Except they're doing it not politically, they're doing it economically. China is building things, investing things all through South America. China is our most rival power in South America. We are losing power in South America, which may be not such a bad thing. So China's picking it up where we left off, but they're doing it with economics. That's on page 112. All right, 114. How many minutes now, Austin?
All right.
How many minutes?
We are at 7:40.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to stop at 10 and start over. All right, page 114, we have the Caribbean North, which is, okay, South America is divided up in 4 sections. The Caribbean North, Colombia, Venezuela, the Andean West, where the Andes Mountains are, that's Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. The southern cone, Argentina, Brazil, Argentina, and maybe Paraguay. Then we have Brazil, which is basically its own region itself, because it's huge. Brazil is huge. Alrighty, so let's start with the Caribbean North, Colombia. Colombia and Venezuela share oil fields write this down. Maracaibo, this Lake Maracaibo, and Maracaibo is kind of a swampy area where there's tons of gas and oil. Okay, we're about 9.
8:45.
Okay, in the Maracaibo region, so Colombia is beginning to get to oil. Cocaine is kind of losing it's still there, very powerful. But Venezuela is very big on oil. And Venezuela is, we'll talk about that in detail. They had oil, they could have been the richest country on earth, but they had a bad Hugo Chavez, which basically threw away everything and was very corrupt. And Venezuela, now they don't have any food or medicine or anything, and they're getting over to Colombia. Colombia, the Medellin cartel was kicking around and almost took over the country, except they got the country back in 2002. So we have one river in Venezuela, the O-R-I-N-O-C-O, the Orinoco River and Basin. It's a very important river next to the Amazon. Just kind of keep it there. Llanos, L-L-A-N-O-S in Venezuela. It's big for oil and gas. And Hugo Chavez was president in 1999.